everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I have a really fun episode for you guys today because I am well aware that this is, for 99% of the time, a Buffalo Bills, majority of the time, centric podcast. But today we're going to kind of venture off the Buffalo Bills for a minute. I've already prepped you for free agency in terms of Brandon being the Buffalo Bills with my offensive free agent targets over the last couple of weeks and my defensive free agent targets over the last couple of weeks. And trust me, I can't wait to see who Brandon being the Buffalo Bills target, resign, let walk, and sign externally, and if they splurge or splash or not. But heading into the offseason, in my eyes, in my opinion, it's always great to kind of take a scope of the league and look at your biggest rivals and see and prep what's ahead for them in the offseason. And over the next couple of weeks leading up to the kickoff of free agency, if you will, we are going to preview the offseason for the Buffalo Bills and our biggest rivals being the AFC, Kansas City Chiefs, and the AFC East, the Miami Dolphins, New England Patriots, and New York Jets, respectively. So today, in today's episode, I'm going to kick off this little mini series that will take us over the couple weeks once again, right up to free agency and whatnot, with a non-biased, very informative, at least in my opinion, hopefully you guys agree, very informative, non-biased 2025 offseason preview heading into free agency for the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, always great to see what your rivals are doing and be aware and not just be in your own bubble of your own team, if you will, with the Buffalo Bills. So without further ado, let's get started. So here's my Around the Slice Chiefs, non-biased, very informative 2025 Kansas City Chiefs offseason preview. Now, to get this formality out of the way, as we know, well, as you may or may not know, late last week, or I think it was earlier this week, a few days ago even now, Dan Graziano reported that the NFL total cap space number has come in, expected to be around $277 million to $281 million, somewhere in that range. Over the last 2 years, that means it will increase over $50 million. The only time the cap didn't increase like it all, it actually went down by a few million, I think, give or take, was the stupid COVID year, because that's kind of stupid and weird. But besides the point, for reference, it will have risen over $50 million in 2024 and 2025, respectively, over the last 2 years. So that means every team gets some sort of relief. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it's not that big of a deal because heading into free agency, the Kansas City Chiefs are expected to have anywhere from $4.8 million to $8.8 million max in cap space. That's not a lot at all, guys, in the grand scheme of things. Yes, for comparison, it's more than the Buffalo Bills, because no matter what it is, the freaking Kansas City Chiefs will always be compared to Buffalo Bills. But this is a rough shape. $4 million to $8.8 million, somewhere in that range. That's in close to cap space hell. Not necessarily over the cap, but it's pushing it there. But luckily, I have three potential cap clearing / cap saving moves, whatever term you want to use, for the Kansas City Chiefs. And first one is a very difficult situation. It's tight, obviously, arguably best tight end of all time for sure. First ballot Hall of Famer. How could he not be a tight end? Travis Kelce. And it's the question of, does he retire or not? I'm leaning towards who he retires. Let's say he does retire. What does this cap hit look like? And if he does retire, how much would that save? Travis Kelce in 2025 currently has a cap of $19.8 million. That is an absolutely absurd number for over the last 2 or 3 years in a row, give or take. The receptions have gone down steadily. The pure yardage and targets have gone down steadily, and the touchdowns have gone way down, especially this past year, not even close to where he's usually at. So a $19.8 million cap hit for what, a 34, 35 darn near tight end at this point? That's kind of ridiculous. If he does retire, the Kansas City Chiefs on the books would save $17.2 million and only have a $2.5 million dead cap hit if he were to retire. But I think an underlying storyline here is, so there's three options. Obviously, best option is he retires. Number two, you come to the table and look at his cash flow and say, hey, Travis Kelce, you're obviously a Hall of Fame tight end. We don't want to move on from you. What's your cash flow chart and cash flow perspective and how much pure cash you earn this year? Can you take a pay cut to stick around with us for a minimum of one more year, chase another Super Bowl? We're obviously not a rebuilding team, but we want to continue to have a relationship with you, obviously. So in the third option, in my case, is a doomsday scenario, is you cut Travis Kelce, and that's where the $2.5 million dead cap comes in with the 17.5 savings. Now, retire, cut, same cap savings, same dead cap, no matter what. Obviously, easily, you for the optics and looks of it, in the public eye, you want him to retire because you don't want some headline coming out saying, breaking news, Chiefs release Hall of Fame tight end Travis Kelce, and then everyone erupts and loses their heads and loses their minds, and their eyes are popping out of their sockets and popping out of their heads. You don't want that to happen. So for optics and looks sake in the public eye, you want him to retire rather than that kind of doomsday headline coming out. But that's the cap scenario for Travis Kelce. Now, number one, there's a bit of a complicated situation here with this next guy, star guard Joe Thuney. I mean, he's won 4 Super Bowls, 1 with the Patriots, 3 with the Chiefs, and he's obviously been to a couple more and lost a couple more. So he's been to like 5 or 6 total Super Bowls and won 4 of them. I mean, he's absolutely a Hall of Fame guard. Interesting enough, this past season, obviously, he's a superstar left guard. We all know that. But obviously, the left tackle situation was a complete disaster, whether it was second-year player Wanya Morris, first-year rookie player out of BYU, Kingsley Suamataia, multiple-year player, 13th or 14th year in the league, I believe, well over 30 years old, DJ Humphries. There's just no solution there. So they decided to move Joe Thuney from left guard to left tackle and insert Mike Caliendo, who I think is a very replaceable reserve, like practice squad caliber player, if that, let alone a starting guard. That's just stupid. And I think people act like Joe Thuney was some amazing left tackle. If you watch the tape, if you watch with your own eyeballs, I know with your own eyeballs it's hard to see O-line play, but if you watch the tape, all 22 review and stuff from different angles and whatnot, he was okay at best. Like, I think people are overblowing how good Joe Thuney really was at left tackle. I don't understand why they didn't just leave him at left guard and just get by at left tackle, if you will. You basically fixed one spot to figured out one spot to fix 2, as that saying goes. Either they cut something's gonna have to be done with Joe Thuney here, because he has a whopping $27 million cap hit. If you cut him, you would save all that, but it would come with a pretty sizable dead cap. Now, if you extend him a couple of years to continue a relationship with him a year early, I think that's the most likely avenue. I think Joe Thuney sticks at left guard and they figure out their left tackle in free agency draft. We'll talk about the final 7th-round mock draft before we get out of here today. I think that's the most likely and obvious scenario that I've settled on. Third and final huge move that the Chiefs can make to save cap space here. This is a no-brainer. Patrick Mahomes has a $66 million cap hit, which obviously you don't care about. It's Patrick Mahomes, but for financials, you better do a base restructure, some salary conversion. If you do a full restructure, it can save like $37 million off the cap, because his total cap hit for 2025 going into this offseason/year, respectively, is $66 million cap hit. So that's ridiculous. They're going to restructure him, I'm sure, just like the Bills do Josh Allen darn near every year at this point. The Chiefs do it with Patrick Mahomes. Next, top 5 needs heading into free agency before we talk about the Chiefs' internal free agents, who they should let walk, in my opinion, who I predict they'll re-sign and all that. In my opinion, top 2 are quite an obvious far ahead. I settled on 1 being defensive tackle and 2 being offensive line. Literally we'll talk about it, but every single defensive interior guy, literally every single defensive tackle on this roster from this past year currently, besides Chris Jones, is a free agent, an expiring deal in a couple weeks, give or take, for free agency. Marlon Tuipulotu, Tashawn Wharton, Mike Pennell are all free agents. If they bring back 1 or 2 of those guys, great, but those guys are just depth. You need clear upgrades other than Chris Jones. There's been rumors of him retiring in a year or 2, maybe. I would be shocked if he retired this offseason, but a year or 2, I mean, you're rough even with Chris Jones. So defensive interior, defensive tackle, if you want to look at, they need to upgrade. 2, offensive line. And I didn't just put left tackle for the obvious need at left tackle. I think right tackle, Jawan Taylor, is quite a disaster. The false start penalties, the illegal formation penalties, lining up in front of the offensive line, behind the offensive line. Half the time the refs don't call, and it really pisses me off and annoys me, as it should everybody. But they're kind of stuck with that deal at right tackle. In my opinion, the only for sure thing here is center Creed Humphrey. At left guard, you extend Joe Tooney, you can keep him there, great. Left tackle, we've already talked about Wanye Morris, DJ Humphries, Kingsley Sumatia. Nobody there is an answer whatsoever. At right guard, you're probably predictively going to Trey Smith. Some questions. I don't want to give away my prediction right now with the internal free agents, but that's some heavy questions. Do you want to pay him all that money? So really, other than Creed Humphrey, you've got a pretty disaster of an offensive line, in my opinion. So that's that. 3, corner. Other than Trent McDuffie, you have average at best guys. The collection of Jalen Watson, Josh Williams, and Najee Johnson, in my opinion, has obviously run its course. Shamari Connor, is he a safety? Is he a slot corner? Either way, I don't think he's very good. I think he's best at safety, so you're not going to put him at corner. They need to upgrade there from the collection of the few guys I just mentioned. And then 4, wide receiver. Obviously, they have their speed guy take the top off the defense, run after catch, Suvant, Monster, and Xavier Worthy. Obviously, they have their route runner. Hopefully, it was early enough in the season where week 3, end of September this past year, 2024 season, where Rashee Rice should come back just fine. Elite route runner, run after catch guy. They need a true vertical X receiver who can get open downfield with ease, kind of like the Buffalo Bills need, who has like size, because Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, especially Xavier Worthy, are kind of slender, give or take, kind of slender on there. So the body archetypes don't match up with. I think they need a true X receiver, and I don't mean veterans like DeAndre Hopkins and Hollywood Brown and stupid Juju. You need a way younger, way better version of Justin Watson, basically. And then number 5, this is between running back and tight end. I guess could go honorable mention, because if Travis Kelce retires, what the hell are you going to do? At running back, I think they need an explosive element. I don't know if somebody should be able to back, if at all. Kareem Hunt, bruiser between the tackles, goal line back. Isaiah Pacheco, same thing. Bruiser between the tackles, decent enough receiving back out of the backfield, goal line back. They need an explosive element to their running back. Offense as a whole with wide receiver too, but they need an explosive as well. But they need an explosive element to their running back room. Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, a fullback running back hybrid, more so fullback technically. They're not explosive whatsoever, and I think I addressed that pretty well with my final 7-round mock draft later on that I keep teasing before we get out of here today. So that's their needs. Once again, number 1, defensive tackle / defensive interior. Number 2, offensive line. Other than Creed Humphrey, it's a pretty disaster. All question marks across the board. Number 3, corner. Very upgradable besides Trent McDuffie. Number 4, wide receiver. They need a specific true X body type receiver. And then 5, running back in the explosive element and not just bruisers between the tackle backs like they have right now. A surplus of it feels like. And then 6, honorable mention. Toss in there. Tight end. You check out edge as well. Internal free agents. So this is kind of how I structure it. If you saw my Bills internal free agent episode, same structure. A couple weeks ago, same structure. DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver. When I say their age, guys, this is their age by the start of the next season. So by the start of the 2025 season. So this is their age as of September 4th, 2025. So DeAndre Hopkins, 33 years old. I'll put the link down to Spot Check with all, as I do the last few, and continue to do in the near and far future. That didn't make sense. We'll continue to do in the near future over the next couple months. Put the link to Spot Check. D-Hop's previous AAV was $13 million a year. His Spot Check salary projection right now is $15.2 million a year. I kind of look at him as Amari Cooper. Obviously, those two, the last few years, give or take, were known for separation skills, and now those two can't really separate anymore. DeAndre Hopkins really slowed down. He looked really old this season. He looked slow and old. So my prediction, I think they want to get younger and cheaper, emphasize the younger part of this wide receiver group. Maybe if it wants to come back like a 1 year, $8 to $9 million deal, I wouldn't give him anywhere near double digits. I think because of that, he goes somewhere else. I think there's 3 options here. 1, DeAndre Hopkins surprisingly retires. I don't think he cares about his ring as much as other people think he does. The general public does, because a few years ago, he could have signed with the Buffalo Bills after being cut / released from the Arizona Cardinals to chase the Super Bowl, doorstep of the Super Bowl, whatever. But he didn't. He chose to go to the Tennessee Titans, sign a 2-year, $26 million deal. And the Titans were nowhere close to contending, still aren't anywhere close to contending or even playoffs. So 1, he could surprisingly retire. 2, he could go back to the Chiefs for a 1 year, $7 to $9 million deal max. 3, I think this is the most likeliest option as I more and more think about it. I think he goes back to the Houston Texans as a veteran presence with C.J. Stroud. The reason why he demanded a trade from the Texans, he demanded it, right? Yeah. The reason why he requested and demanded a trade from the Texans, 5 years ago? Yeah, the COVID year, offseason. 5 years ago now. Bill O'Brien's not there anymore. Bill O'Brien is not there anymore as coach / GM. What a freaking disaster, by the way, that was. But the guys he didn't like are not there anymore. And I think he would love to play for D'Amico Ryans and help CJ Stroud get over that hump, if you will. So I think he goes to the Texans. So therefore, goes somewhere else is my official prediction. Next, the Chiefs have quite a bit of free agents here. I think it's like 20 or so. It's like up there in terms of like amount of free agents for each team in the league, give or take. But they have like a few huge ones. Just this huge one, just to read safety, 28 years old. His previous AAV in his last contract was $10.5 million. The thing with Justin Reed is he's known for ball skills and uber athletic safety. One of the most athletic safeties in the entire league. His closing speed, click and close speed, if you will, is unmatched. Spatrick's salary projection has him at $17.1 million a year. If I'm a team, I'd be willing to pay that without a doubt. But my prediction, because of that high price tag and the very, very, very limited cap space the Chiefs have this offseason, it's looking like, I think he goes somewhere else. I just don't know how they're going to treat these huge free agents. Next, Charles Omenihu, defensive end. So he's actually really good. I really like him as a nice rotational defensive end 3/4 type. I compare him comparably to AJ Epinesa of the Buffalo Bills. Decent enough snap taker, decent enough pass rusher, okay as a run defender. Yeah, that's kind of the comparison I look at. But Charles Omenihu, 28 years old. His previous AAV was $8 million. I don't know if he gets nearly that much this offseason, but Spatrick's salary projection, $11.8 million per year. As a third or fourth rotational pass rusher, you're not going to pay a guy double digits. So if they can get him for like 1 year, $7 million, 2 year, $14 million, $7 million a year, my prediction is he re-signs because a couple edge rushers and defensive interior, handful of defensive guys that I think will walk. So, yeah. Hollywood Brown, wide receiver. Hollywood Brown can't stay healthy in his career. He's always having foot issues. He's always having ankle issues, hamstring. It's mostly foot over his career. He just can't stay healthy. He has potential, but at this point, when's he going to ever stay healthy? So 28 years old, still pretty young, actually, for as long as he's been in the league for, 7 years? Previous AV, $7 million. It was a proof deal, and that proof deal blew up in his face. Spot check salary projection, $8 million per year. I think that's quite ridiculous. I would be willing to give him 5 or 6 year max, Chiefs or otherwise. My official prediction is just because I think they want to retool the receiver room and they want to go healthier and younger and cheaper, and this would fly in the face of all that, if you will, as they say, and this would contradict all that easily. So my official prediction is goes somewhere else. I think a lot of this offense, especially wide receiver room, needs to be retooled and overhauled, if you will. Maybe not full overhaul, but like a little retooling. Next, Carson Wentz. This is pretty obvious and pretty cut and dry, non-stupid conversation. 32 years old. His previous AV was $3.325 million. Spot check salary projection, $1.9 million a year is the thing right now. Projection thing, if you will. Prediction, I think he goes somewhere else. The Bills do this all the time. The Bills and Chiefs are two teams that just do not give a flying you-know-what about their backup QB position. Josh Allen, by far the most healthiest QB in the league over his whole career. Patrick Mahomes, that's like second or third on that list. Never misses games. Pretty nasty ankle injury. Looks like on the TV national broadcast. Comes back next week. Plays better. Same thing. Rinse, recycle, repeat. Whatever that phrase is. Rinse and repeat. Sorry, if you will. My prediction is Carson Wentz goes somewhere else. Them and the Bills are like, F it. We'll just figure it out and allocate resources somewhere else. Josh Uche, defensive end, 26 years old. Previous AAV was $3 million. Spot check salary projection, $4.6 million a year. I found it quite strange that they traded a bag of chips, a bag of peanuts to get him from the Patriots. What was a 6th round pick this year at the trade deadline in early November, late October / early November, I believe it was, in the 2024 NFL season trade deadline. Josh Uche, really, really impressed with him early in his career, but the last couple of years, he was healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. So, spot check salary projection of $4.8 million a year. I think $4 or $5 million max is around his ballpark, but my prediction is he goes somewhere else. I think they like Charles Omenihu a lot more than Josh Uche, as proven by the healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. Deshaun Wharton, defensive tackle, 27 years old. His previous AAV of 2.7 million a year. His spot check sale projection right now is 7.4 million a year. That's just quite ridiculous. I'd be going 4 million a year max. Like 2 years, 6 million, 2 years, 8 million, fine. But my official prediction is go somewhere else because, in my opinion, I think that Brett Veach and the Chiefs, like, stylistically would agree with me. I think the defensive tackle trio of Derek Nottie, Deshaun Wharton, and Mike Pennell outside of Chris Jones has run its course. Like, I think they want to overhaul that outside of Chris Jones, as they should want to. I think that trio has run its course, and, like, sorry, thanks for your service over the last few years, a couple of them, but, like, we want to overhaul this group, and I would heavily agree with that. Next, DJ Humphries, left tackle, 31 years old. They signed him off the street, literally off the street, when he was cut from the Cardinals. A couple weeks after that, boom, there he is. Wanya Morris, Kingsley Sumonte, disasters at left tackle. Previous AV for Humphries, $2 million. Spot check salary projection, $1.3 million a year. So this is pretty darn cheap for a guy with this experience. My prediction is he goes somewhere else. Like I said, I think they didn't give Kingsley Sumonte as long of a leash, if he was. They should have. Too short of a leash in my eyes, in my personal opinion. So I think they want to give him another shot, or in the first or second, or maybe even third round, early drafted left tackle, and see how that works out. Obviously, Wanya Morris, cut or trade, that probably hasn't worked out. And then Derek Nottie, defensive tackle, 29 years old, previous AAV, $2 million, spot check salary projection, $2.1 million a year. So 1 year, I would only commit to him for 1 year more year. And because of that, 1 year, $2 million, 1 year, $3 million, somewhere ballpark around there. My prediction is he re-signs. Outside of Chris Jones, I just said a minute or two ago with the Deshaun Wharton thing, the trio of Deshaun Wharton and Mike Pennell and Derek Nottie has run its course, but I think they actually like Derek Nottie way more than the rest of the NFL does, as opposed to those other two guys. So I think he'll be back for a pretty darn cheap deal. So my official prediction is he re-signs. Next, Justin Watson, wide receiver, 30 years old. I thought he was a couple years younger than this, 27, 28, but I guess he's 30 years old. Previous AAV, 1.7 million. Spot check salary projection, same exact thing, 1.7 million. That's fine. 1 year, 1.5, 1 year, 2 million max, fine. My prediction is he re-signs because I think you need to get a better version of Justin Watson as a true vertical separation style receiver on the outside to pair well with body archetypes of Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice personally. I think they will get an upgrade over Justin Watson, but as a wide receiver 4 and 5, you could do much worse. He's a really stalwart on special teams. So my prediction is Justin Watson re-signs. This is another one like Derek Nottie where I think the Chiefs borderline love Justin Watson way more than the rest of the league does. At least I do. Next, Samaje Perine, running back. He's a really good receiving back, really good returner, but 29 years old, previous AVs, 1.5 million, 1.5. Spot check salary projection, same, 1.5 million. I think my prediction is he goes somewhere else. I think this is the 1 year didn't work out as much as I hoped. They have Kareem Hunt, they have Isaiah Pacheco, they have Carson Steele. I think basically you can get a way more younger and cheaper upgrade over, well, not cheaper, it's not that big of a contract, but way more younger version of Samaje Perine in the draft who can actually pass block pretty well and receive very well, just like Perine, who I addressed in my 7-round mock. So he goes somewhere. Next, just like Reed, he's another huge one, arguably the hugest one. Well, we'll get to someone after, but Nick Bolton, linebacker, he's still only 25 years old. Previous AV, 1.5 million as a 3rd-round pick, or 2nd-round pick, out of Missouri. Spot check salary projection, 12.3 million a year. That's what I'm thinking, 13, 14. I wouldn't go above 14, 15 million a year for Nick Bolton, Chiefs or otherwise. And my prediction, just like Reed, I don't know, other than rotational / depth players, if they're able to bring back any of these big hitters, stalwarts of their defense / offense, this case defense, if you will. So my official prediction is he goes somewhere else. I could see him getting overpaid, but I think that overpay would be justified, and I wouldn't look at it as an overpay. Someone like the Broncos can use him. The Buccaneers, who desperately need a linebacker, could use him. The Raiders to pair with Robert Spillane if they re-sign him. Next, long snapper, James Winchester, long snapper. He's 36 years old. Previous AV of 1.4 million. It's a long snapper, so no, not available for a spot check salary projection. I think he resigns. He's a long snapper. He's been around forever. Who cares? And then Mike Pennell, defensive tackle. I keep reiterating this. the trio of Noddy, although I think he resigns. Wharton, I think he walks, doesn't resign. And Mike Pennell, I don't think he resigns either because one, he's 34 years old, previous AV of 1.210 million. Project salary projection of $2 million a year. I think this defensive tackle room, other than Jones, even Noddy, but they'll resign him as run his course. I keep reiterating that. So I think Pennell and Wharton go somewhere else, and they do resign Noddy, but they still need huge upgrades there, as that was my number one need, even above offensive line. Next, Juju Smith-Schuster. Juju's just no. Wide receiver, 28 years old. Previous AV was 1.210 million. Spatchuk salary projection slightly above at 1.8 million, but my prediction is he goes somewhere else. This wide receiver room, I keep saying it, it needs a specific body type, but in this case, I think another wide receiver we'll talk about Hollywood Brown, Juju, they walk, they re-sign Justin Watson. I think they really like him a lot more, but Juju just no. Kareem Hunt, running back, 30 years old, previous AV of 1.210 million, Patrick salary projection at 2.6 million. I wouldn't even give him that much. I would give him 1 year, 1.5, 1 year, 2 million. But my prediction is he does resign because I think they like him as a third down / short yardage back, especially as a goal line back. But you can't so I think Samaje Perine walks, and I think Kareem Hunt resigns for the running back room. Next, Mecole Hardman, 27 years old, previous AV 1.125 million. Spatchuk's salary projection of 1.4 million. Prediction goes somewhere else. I think in essence, people say, oh, he's got tons of speed. Look at him on screen passes. He can do any pass to us. 1, he's literally always injured. 2, he's basically only a kick/punt returner. And 3, he's just a gadget guy. Occasional jet sweep, occasional screen here and there. Never a high volume snap taker. I don't understand the hype for Mecole Hardman. So I think for receivers, Hollywood Brown, Juju, and all 3 of Mecole Hardman leave for sure. I don't think Mecole Hardman's even on Brett Veach's radar, as he shouldn't be. And then Justin Watson is a low-cost veteran, was your 4/5, probably 4 and 5, give or take. Jody Fortson, tight end. This is another player where I really think the Chiefs love him as a developmental 3rd/4th practice squad tight end. He's 29 years old. He has speed in terms of a vertical playing route runner. Previous AV of 1.1 million. Spatchuk salary projection NA. Obviously, it's Jody Fortson. Prediction, I think he resigns, especially with the looming looming, talk of Travis Kelce retiring or not. Next, Marlon Tuipulotu, defensive tackle. Fun fact, he's the older brother of Chargers edge rusher Tuli Tuipulotu, who I really like. This past year, he really came on for them as their 3rd sub rusher with Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa. 26 years, but back to Marlon Tuipulotu, 26 years old. His previous AV is 1.1 million. Spatchuk salary projection not available. Now, my prediction is he goes somewhere else because there's really 2 options here for Tuipulotu. 1, I think he goes back to the Eagles because I'm expecting to lose Milton Williams. And you know how much of a rotation they love there. Yeah, they have Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis, but they love to have their rotations. So maybe they reunite with Marlon Tuipulotu and or both, probably Fletcher Cox. Or I think Tuipulotu more likely goes to the Chargers to pair up with his brother and Tuipulotu off the edge and Marlon Tuipulotu, the Tuipulotu brothers, if you will, on the interior. I do expect the Chargers to lose Poona Ford because he had by far his best season of his career this past year. So I think that's an option. Because of those 2 options, I think he goes somewhere else. Next, last but certainly not least, by the way, this wasn't in order of importance or significance or who I'd bring back or not. This was in order of how Spotcheck listed them. I don't control. They list them. I just read them off. Trey Smith, guard, 26 years old, previous AAV, 902,000, 6th-round pick out of Tennessee. Spotcheck salary projection. You're gonna hear this and you're gonna say, wow, Aiden, that's a handful million too low. And I agree. Patrick salary projection of 19.7 million per year. I think he gets paid 22, 23 million minimum, 24 million if that's the Vikings or Titans or Texans or someone who Bears could pay him 24 million a year. Now that would be a couple million overpay in my opinion, but I think he goes somewhere else. I know the 3 huge free agents are Justin Reed at safety, Nick Bolton at linebacker, and Trey Smith at guard. Unfortunately, I'm predicting all 3 of them to leave. Next, restricted free agents that are likely back with the Chiefs. Corner Keith Taylor, who's 26 years old. Tight end Peyton Hendershot, who's 26 years old. Corner Najee Johnson, who's 27 years old. Linebacker Jack Cochran, special team stalwart for them. good sub linebacker, 26 years old. Defensive end Malik Herring, 27 years old. Guard Mike Caliendo, 27 years old, who's actually exclusive rights free agents, which means you either play with the Chiefs again or you don't play in the NFL. So punter Matt Ariza, 25 years old, once again exclusive rights. And then kicker Spencer Schrader, 26 years old. He'll be re-signed because of exclusive rights, but then he'll be cut in July/August/early September because they have Harrison Butker. Preseason get-by body probably. And then priority of the 20 free agents I would bring back in 2025. Here's my priority. The top three separate themselves. 1, guard Trey Smith. 2, linebacker Nick Bolton. And then 3, safety Justin Reed. Those are the huge ones. And unfortunately, I don't think they have the money and capacity, if you will, to bring them all back. And then 4, I would love to have defensive end Charles Omenihu back if I were Brett Veach and the Chiefs for a nice sub 3/3/4 pass rusher. 5, defensive Derek Nottie. 6, and then after this, it's like whatever. 6, defensive end Josh Uche. 7, defensive tackle Marlon Tuipulotu. 8, left tackle DJ Humphries. 9, wide receiver Hollywood Brown. 9. Oh, shoot. I accidentally skipped a spot. So here we go. 8. Hold on. Let me start over because when I wrote this, I accidentally skipped around a bit. 1, guard Trey Smith. 2, linebacker Nick Bolton. 3, safety Justin Reed. 4, defensive end Charles Omenihu. 5, defensive back Derek Nottie. 6, defensive end Josh Uche. 7, D tackle Marlon Tuipulotu. 8, specifically left tackle DJ Humphries. 9, wide receiver Hollywood Brown. 10, wide receiver D Hop. 11, wide receiver Justin Watson. 12, running back Samaje Perine. 13, running back Kareem Hunt. 14, now we're back on track. Sorry about that. Tight end Jody Fortson. 15, D tackle Treshawn Morton. 16, defensive tackle Mike Pennell. I keep saying this, emphasizing this. I think that defensive tackle rotation outside of Chris Jones and maybe Derek Nottie is very stale and outdated and run its course by far. And then 17, wide receiver Juju Schuster. I don't give a crap about that. 18, wide receiver Mecole Hardman. 19, long snapper James Winchester. Just in 20, quarterback Carson Wentz. But other than Reed, Bolton, and Trey Smith, get the big bucks, if you will, none of those are like, oh my God, if we lose them, we're going to die. Like, no, if you lose them, who cares? And then now here's my official 7-round mock draft before I get out of here today. Round 1, pick 31 overall. I have absolutely no clue how this guy was on the board. I'm at Pro Football Network mock draft. Great site, by the way, if you want to mock yourself. Not mock yourself. If you want to do a mock draft yourself. Round 1, pick 31 overall. Defensive tackle Kenneth Grant, Michigan. There's some top 10 buzz on him, and I agree with it. I don't think he gets past 15. 15th overall, I forgot. Is it the Cardinals? I think so, but I don't think he gets past 15, top 15. So I don't know how he's on the board, but this would be such a good fit next to Chris Jones. Honestly, pretty scary. Round 2, 63 overall. Corner is R.A. Thomas. Another phenomenal steal, in my opinion. I'm not as high in him as other people are, so people are like, oh, mid to late first round pick for sure. I wouldn't take him there, but I can't deny the value here. Immediate upgrade over the stale trio of Justin Watson, Najee Johnson, maybe Chamari Connor thrown in there, Keith Taylor, to pair with Trent McDuffie. Round 3, pick 66 overall. I said Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, Isaiah Pacheco. They're all really good goal line backs, decent to really great / good and excellent goal line backs, but they need explosiveness and receiving ability out of the backfield and pass protecting ability. That's running back Travion Henderson out of Ohio State. This is just a perfect glove fit, if you will. And then round 3, 95 overall, wide receiver Jalen Noel, Ohio State. I know everyone's going to say Jaden Higgins gets all the love and has the size, but Jalen Noel is pretty underrated size and speed as well, and he can separate downfield pretty easily, and he showed out at the Senior Bowl. I'm sure he's going to show out at the Combine later this week, which that's going to be awesome, by the way. Round 5. So this is the perfect body archetype they need. And then they don't have a 4th round pick all the way to round 5, pick 168 overall. Corner, Noel Williams, Kale. Obviously, Trent McDuffie's back in the outside. So if you come out there at safeties, let's say Justin Reed walks and your 2 starting safeties now are Chamari Connor and Brian Cook. And then your 2 outside corners are Trent McDuffie and Azaria Thomas. And then your slot corner is Noel Williams, and then some rotational pieces who actually have legit starting experience of Keith Taylor, Jalen Watson, and Josh Williams. I think that would be a really young secondary, albeit, but a phenomenal secondary. Next, rounds, they have 2 7th round picks. So round 7, 232 overall. Tight end Caden Prescorn, Ole Miss. I probably should have addressed this earlier they have a lot of guys like Peyton Hendershot. Who's that other one? Jody Fortson, which I predict they'll re-sign. So Caden Prescorn, if Travis Kelce retires, I think he can be a low-end starting tight end. The 7th round, phenomenal value. Also phenomenal value, round 7, 256 overall, linebacker from Ohio State, linebacker Cody Simon, Ohio State, as I just mentioned. So those are I probably, if you'll notice, I didn't take a single offensive lineman, tackle, or guard. They don't need center because they have Creed Humphrey, but mainly a left tackle. I am predicting them go sign someone like Cam Robinson, pay up for Larry Jackson. I don't think they want to screw around with another rookie left tackle like Kingsley Suamataia or Wanya Morris. I think they've already been past that and kind of sick of that. So Cam Robinson or Larry Jackson, more likely a cheap-ish Cam Robinson. So anyways, guys, that is my non-biased, very informative episode. Let me start over. That is my non-biased, very informative Kansas City Chiefs 2025 offseason preview, heading into the free agency and draft in a couple weeks. This I just am jacked for this. Today's Monday, so on Friday, last day of February, leap year thing. On Friday, February 28th, we're going to continue on this series with a huge AFC East rival, the Miami Dolphins. Same format, same structure, same everything. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode today. It was a lot of fun for me, kind of taking off my Bills rose-colored bias glasses, if you will, and looking at this. So you can, as always, you can personally follow me on Twitter at Wenger13 for instant reactions. And you can follow the show on Twitter at Instant Free Agency Reaction. Follow the show on Twitter at Ron Slice. You can, of course, watch or listen to this podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get favorite podcasts. Please help me get to 50 subscribers. I'm in the Big 5-0 for some journey, the Big 5-0 for some special guests, hopefully in the next few months or so. Through free agency and the draft, help me get to the Big 5-0. I know you guys as loyal fans can do it. Anyways, this is a really fun and awesome episode. I will be back on Friday for that same structured Dolphins preview. Anyways, I'll see you then. Have a great week. Have a great day. Have a great everything. See you later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.